I love my Sony ZV-1, but there's a few things about it that I thought could be improved, so I fixed them. Want to find out how? Stick around, let's get wild. People of Earth, welcome back to Remain Wild. My name is Rick Evans, I'm a wildlife photographer. Today we're going to be talking about the Sony ZV-1. Now I've been using the Sony ZV-1 for several months now. It's become my main camera for all my vlogging tutorial videos. I'm really happy with the performance. It's got some great features for vloggers and content creators, but it had some minor flaws. Now some of these things have already been addressed by other creators here on YouTube, so I won't go too in-depth into them, but I just want to show you some of the ways that I've gotten around them and been able to fix it and make this thing even better. So a little background about this little camera. The Sony ZV-1, or ZV-1 for my Canadian and European audiences, is an amazing little camera packed with features. One of the most impressive things about it is it actually has the same 20 megapixel sensor as the Sony RX100, which is an amazing camera as well. But this has some improvements. One main thing being the lens actually opens all the way up to 1.8, f-stop 1.8, which is great for shallow depth of field and really cinematic looking footage. Now that depth of field is amazing, but one limitation that you have with this is that 1.8 f-stop quickly drops as soon as you start zooming in on this. This lens is pretty much a 24 to 70 millimeter equivalent, and once you start zooming in, that 1.8 quickly drops to a 2.8 as you zoom in further towards 70 millimeter. One great thing about this is it has a fully articulating screen, and I like that they put it on the side and not on the bottom or the top like some other vlogging cameras that other manufacturers have made. The main reason being, once you start attaching accessories like mics on top or a handle on the bottom or a tripod, you're blocking that screen and now you can't see it. It's useless. So having it flip out to the side, great decision by Sony. It has a lot of other really neat features too, like high frame rates, which go all the way up to 960 frames a second. It's kind of crappy SD quality, but still pretty cool. And then it also has a neat feature called Product Showcase, which essentially works like this. If you're showing off a product and you hold it up to the camera will automatically rack focus to that object. And that's a great thing for people who are doing, a lot of like product vlogging and things like that. Very neat. Oh, and it's also only $798. That's an incredible value for such a capable little camera. But that's enough about that. You're here to learn about what makes this badass little camera even badasser. So here are 10 accessories you should get for your ZV-1 to kick it up a notch. And just so you know, I'll put links to all these items down in the description below. So if you see something that you like and it really stands out to you, just go down, click the link, it'll take you right to the page. So first up on the list is kind of an obvious one. You may have seen this if you've looked at the ZV-1. Sony released what they call the Sony Vlogger Kit, which comes with this handle and a 64 gigabyte SD card. Now the handle is really great. It has a photo button for still photos, a movie button for recording. It has a assignable function button there on C1, and then it has a little lock. It also opens up into a small tabletop tripod to put on your desk or tabletop whenever you're vlogging. And it also, another really cool feature is it's Bluetooth enabled. So you can pair this to your ZV-1 and control it remotely. So one really cool thing you could do with this Bluetooth feature is if you have some sort of a elusive wildlife species or something, you could set the camera near a nest or a perch or something like that, get back quite a ways, get in a hide, get in a blind, and then you can control it with the remote. I might give it a shot. I haven't done it yet, but maybe there's a video in the future for that. So the handle screws directly into the bottom of the camera, into that 1/4 thread, and it just has a little thumb screw here that just screws in very easily. And the only problem that I had with this is that the thread on the bottom of the camera is right next to the battery door, okay? So when you mount a tripod or one of these grips or anything into that hole, the battery door is blocked. it's kind of dumb. You can't access the battery door or the memory cards, which is a real bummer because you're gonna have to get into that battery door quite a bit when you're shooting. I'll get into that in a little bit. But don't worry, I have a fix for that problem. So that brings us to item number 2, this L bracket from a company called SmallRig. Now what's great about this is it has a ton of little mounting holes all over it, okay? And you can screw this directly into the bottom of the camera. It has one screw. You use an Allen wrench that's provided with the bracket. It goes right in, very, very easy installation. Now what this also has that's kind of neat is this wooden grip, and this is real wood here, and it gives it just a really nice aesthetic, nice stylized look to it. I like it. It also gives you a little bit more of a grip on the camera. The ZV-1 itself has a grippy bump there that's not too bad. It gives you a nice feel, but this just really emphasizes that grip a lot more. But the main thing that was really amazing about this is it gives you all those mounting hole options, and now you can open the battery door. That's right, they actually went and milled out a section of the bracket specifically for the battery door to swing open so you can get in there, swap out your memory card, swap out your battery without having to take off the tripod or grip or plate or gimbal or whatever you have mounted to it. Fantastic. It also has a little cold shoe mount if you want to mount a light or a mic or any other kind of accessory that might use a cold shoe sort of mount. Another neat little part of this L bracket. So now that we're talking about screwing things into the bottom of that L bracket, it brings me to this. Now you've seen many tripods like this before. This one is from a company called Zenvo, I think that's how you pronounce that. And this is called the Squid Grip. And one of the things that I really liked about this is this sort of rubberized texture on the legs. It's very rubbery and grippy, and it's really great. It's also very pliable, it's very easy, but it's also stiff. It's not gonna move on you at all. The head on top just has a thumb collar that you can loosen up, and then it has a little ball head that rotates around, which is really easy to use. And then lock it down, it's very tight, it's not gonna go anywhere, it's not gonna flop around on you. This thing's very sturdy, which is something that I really like in something like this. And I've found this very useful for just a number of reasons. One being that it's slightly longer than the grip that they give you in the Vlogger Kit. Now, what's awesome about this is when you hold these out at arm's length, this Squid Grip tripod gives me a little bit more of a reach, which is great because that 24mm lens on the wide part of the ZV-1 is a little too tight for a wide. So this helps give me just that extra bit of reach to get more of me in the frame. And let's face it, who doesn't want more of me in the frame? So this thing is really neat. Squid Grip from Zenvo. I recommend this. It was pretty cheap. That Squid Grip also came with a cell phone mount, if that's something you're into. If you vlog with your cell phone, it comes with a little clampy cell phone thing that you just stick your phone in, clamps down, boom, you're ready to go. Couldn't be easier. For number 4, let's move on to audio. Now, one thing that Sony actually did pretty well on this ZV-1 is the onboard audio really isn't all that bad. It's not great, but for an onboard mic, it's pretty good. So another great thing that they did with this is, since they know that people like to vlog outside a lot, they included this little dead cat here that you just slide right on to the shoe mount on top of the camera, and it covers the mic port on top, just giving you a little bit of extra wind protection. I've tried this thing out, it really works, it's great. If you plan on just using the onboard mic, that'll do the trick. But I have an even better option. The Rode Video Micro. This thing is fantastic. It's only like 50 or 60 bucks. It's very small, it's very light. It goes right on top of that shoe mount on top of the camera. Plugs right in with this little coily cable. It's got a little shock mount for shock absorption and to reduce vibrations in the sound of the mic. And it has fantastic audio. So let's listen to the two mics back to back so you can hear the difference in the two. So this is the stock microphone on the Sony ZV-1. This is what it sounds like with without the Rode Video Micro on. Now this is a shot with the Rode Video Micro on. See how the sound sounds much more just rich and full and directional, and you just hear my voice a lot more clear. That's why you really need to get a mic like this. Again, it's only 50 or 60 bucks. You'll really appreciate the sound quality that you get from this little mic. It also comes with a dead cat that you just slide right on the top. Boom, wind protection. And this thing's really great, has also done a great job. So audio is a really big part of video production. It really is essential to get good audio to make sure that your production is professional sounding as well as professional looking. Okay, so get that, it's only 50 or 60 bucks. Another accessory that will really step up your footage to a more professional looking level is number 5, the LensMate filter adapter. So essentially the way this works is it came in a kit that includes this sort of retaining ring and a ring that had a little bit of adhesive on it that you apply directly to the camera. Now this is on here permanently, but as you can see, it's very flush to the camera. It's very unobtrusive. You'll hardly even notice it's there. It doesn't really add anything to the profile of the camera. And it's really not in the way at all. So the way that the retaining ring works is you take your filter and you screw it directly into the ring, and then the ring just goes right onto the front of the lens and just snaps right in. Boom. I mean, it's solid in there. It's not going anywhere. You don't have to screw, it just kind of locks into place. It's just a click and done. How cool is that? Now you can throw any 52mm filter on the front of this and get even more professional looking footage. Now the ZV-1 actually has its own internal ND filters for when you're shooting outside. You just turn it on and it knocks the exposure down quite a bit, which is really great when you're shooting outside. Speaking of filters, that brings us to number 6. Filters. These are 52mm filters from a company called Earth. The one that I use primarily out in the field is the circular polarizer, okay? And this again just goes right into that retaining ring from LensMate and snaps right onto the front of the camera. I also occasionally use their ND filters. Now both of these filters kind of came in sets. The NDs came in a set of 3, and the circular polarizer came with a clear UV filter as well. So go ahead and check those out. It's a great value. I highly recommend these. One really cool thing about Earth's filters is they actually nest together, and they basically can just all thread together in a stack, and then they come with these sort of metal covers to protect the glass. And then you can just toss them in your bag and carry them as one big stack and just sort of take out whichever filter you need. And boom, you're good to go. And everything's protected. But that's truly not even the best thing about these filters. Earth was formerly known as Gobi, and they changed their name to more accurately match their mission, which I want to highlight very quickly. As you all know, Remain Wild is all about wildlife and habitat conservation. And Earth has partnered with an organization called Eden Restoration Projects. And essentially how this works is when you buy a filter from Earth, 5 trees are planted in a part of the world where they are most desperately needed. This also gives an economic boost to the people in that local area and gives them jobs. How cool is that? Earth, thank you so much for doing your part to make the world a better place and making great filters with great high quality German glass. I'm super happy with them. Definitely go check them out. I'll leave a link to their website down below. Just so you all know, Earth has not sponsored this video, nor have any of the other manufacturers of any of these products that I'm showcasing today. All right, next up on the subject of lenses, we have a wide angle lens from Ulanzi. Now, this thing is really great because, as I mentioned before, the widest that the lens on the ZV-1 goes is 24mm. It's not super wide for handheld vlogging. So this is a really great addition that I highly recommend. And the way that you would adapt it is it normally comes with its own adhesive kit that you apply to the camera like the LensMate. But because I already have the LensMate ring attached to the camera, I couldn't put this directly on there. But there's a workaround. If you take a 52mm clear UV filter and screw it onto the back of the wide angle, then you can attach it to that retaining ring that came with the lens mate. It works perfect, there's no vignetting, and this goes right onto the front of the camera with no problem whatsoever. Other really neat thing about this is it's actually two pieces. It unscrews and it's a wide angle, but it also comes with a macro lens. So you can do some macro work, which is also really cool. How dope is that? Now this wide angle lens will really give you a little bit more of a wider field of view than the stock lens on the ZV-1, which is about 24 millimeters, as I said. This will give you more of an 18 millimeter perspective, which is much better for handheld vlogging. It'll also allow you to use the active stabilization that's on the ZV-1 without it cropping in too much. Because basically, when you use standard stabilization, you get the whole frame. But as soon as you turn on active stabilization, which is a little bit more stabilized, it actually crops in the image a little bit more to achieve that effect, and you lose even more in the frame. So use this wide angle lens and that should really help out. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is batteries. Now the Sony ZV-1 uses these NP-BX1 batteries. They're very small, they run out very quickly, so I highly recommend getting new batteries, some spare ones. I went with this company called LP, and I'm usually a little skeptical about using off-brand batteries and brands and things like that. These have been great, and they came in a pack of 2 with a dual charger for under 20 bucks. I mean, you really can't beat that. That's fantastic. Hopefully you guys can't hear the landscaping guys outside. They're being incredibly rude working while I'm trying to do this video for you guys. Okay, the next thing that we're gonna look at is a gimbal. This is the Zhiyun Crane M2. It's great because it's lightweight, compact, it breaks down very easily. You can throw it in your bag and take it with you anywhere. It has a great payload rating, up to 720 grams. I weighed my ZV-1 with the mic, the wide angle lens, and the bracket. It only came out to about 570, so I haven't met that threshold yet. It will really give your footage a nice buttery cinematic look to it, and you won't have that shaky handheld look. You can get some really cool cinematic moves. This is really gonna step up your footage a lot. This is actually under 200 bucks. I think it's about $189. That could be fake news. I could be making that up. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that's about the range it did. I know it's under 200 bucks. Check it out. Zhiyun Crane M2. The last thing, number 10 on the list, memory cards. Get yourself a nice high quality, fast, high capacity memory card. Now the Vlogger Kit came with a 64 gigabyte memory card, which isn't bad, but 4K footage has some pretty large file sizes. So you'll want to get something a little bit bigger, about 128 gigs or more. I went with the SanDisk Extreme Pro. I've been using these with my cameras for years now. They're fantastic, they're fast. The only bummer about the ZV-1 is it doesn't take advantage of UHS-2 technology. But don't worry, because this card has a fast read and write speed. So even though you can't write to this card as fast as it's rated for, when you go to dump your footage at the end of the day onto your computer or hard drive, it's gonna dump that footage much faster. So still opt for a much faster, higher capacity card. It'll save you some time and some headaches. These are great. Go out and buy one of these. You won't regret it. Well, that's it, folks. Grab these 10 accessories to step up your ZV-1 to make it an absolute beast of a vlogging camera. Again, you can find links to all these items down in the description below. And while you're down there, make sure you toss me a like if you enjoyed this. Hit subscribe if you want to see more videos like this and more videos about photography and videography, wildlife and conservation. Thank you all so much for stopping by. I hope to see you again on the next one. Until then, take care, stay safe, and remain wild. Is it safe to come out yet? Is 2020 finally over? Well, Happy New Year.